Before the election, we had a record high number of homes for sale on the market, and as usual, it was because of the high interest rates plus the election that was keeping buyers on the sidelines. People were saying they don't want to buy, they want to wait until after the election, and they just weren't buying homes. And since you asked, I'm providing a follow-up video, this video right here, on the strange things happening in the Colorado Springs real estate market, because the last video I got a ton of comments about it and people wanted me to do one for now that the election's over and the holidays are done, about the Colorado Springs real estate market. So that's what this is. And people are asking, are we going to see some relief on home prices soon? And what is 2025 going to look like going forward? My name is Iris and I'm your Colorado real estate resource, and I often run numbers on the real estate market stats in Colorado Springs so people can get a pulse on what's happening here. But I only include Colorado Springs proper, so the numbers might look different than some of your other real estate videos that you guys are watching. So my last video went over real estate for the month of July, and it was quite unique, July of 2024. And we just went over single family homes sales, homes sold in 2024, and that totaled somewhere in the 700s. Well, in December of 2024, the single family homes sold were 552. And again, no one wants to buy a house in December. If you've watched any of my other videos, and you probably are aware of this, but most people just don't want to move. The market slows down significantly when it's cold or during the holidays or in the middle of a school year, which is really when the best deals are. If you can suffer through that, you'll really get a really good deal if you buy a house during this winter time. Now, the homes that were sold in December of 2024, last month, they were selling around 99 to 100%, which hasn't really changed since last year. But the days on market went up to 63 days, which is significantly more than it has been for those same reasons. People just don't want to move during this time. The median home price went up to $485,000, whereas the year before it was $450,000. So why is this strange, and why does any of this matter to you? Well, the interest rates have doubled since the real estate market changed forever, yet prices are still ridiculously high. The rates have done nothing for the market except give buyers a little bit more time to find something, and it has reduced those bidding wars. And I'll take that back, because I'm about to share something with you later in the video that has helped a little bit, whereas even though the prices aren't coming down, there's still something else that we need to explore regarding the real estate market. But the bidding wars have gone away for the most part. There still are some bidding wars, just depending on the house, if it's a very popular house, if it's been well updated. But these days, those are just way more fewer than before. So not as much fighting over homes. But the average home price in Colorado Springs is around $540,000 with a max price of $2.35 million in the month of December, with the lowest sales price being $120,000 over in the Constitution Hills, which, can I just applaud the city of Colorado Springs for having the most luxurious views in the whole state, even though I'm probably a little bit biased. But check out the views on this home in the Broadmoor. It's just so beautiful. Our home prices for luxury are a steal, in my humble opinion. This house is just insane. But something else that we really need to think about is the vacancy rate. Now, Colorado Springs is building like crazy all over the place, and especially downtown Colorado Springs, and it's really upsetting people. But there's this group called Integrity Matters, known for pushing back on local development, raising alarms about what they say is an overbuilt downtown. They cite data showing a 34% vacancy rate and are calling for a stop to new residential projects in the area. But city officials and housing experts strongly disagree. They think that if we stop building, we could actually hurt Colorado Springs, and the higher vacancy rate is because of brand new apartments that just hit the market. Over 700 units have been added, and she says it takes time for these new places to fill up, but change is inevitable whether residents here like it or not, and they're going to try to plan the growth wisely. So the average rent for a downtown apartment is $1,800 according to the Downtown Partnership, but These groups think that high vacancy rates could lead to economic trouble, especially for small businesses downtown, which is actually happening now. And I can do a full video on this if you'd like. Just comment below if that's something that you're interested in. But the city is trying to attract young professionals for future growth. Honestly, I think $1,800 a month is still too high for that. It'll be interesting to see how this unfolds, to see if it really does bring down rental prices here in the Springs. Now, one thing I mentioned in the previous video was that if you're an existing homeowner who bought in 2021 or later, you probably have little to no equity. And that has not changed. You still don't have enough equity to sell, but your monthly payment is probably lower than what you could get today. So it's not like you still got a good deal. You might feel like you overpaid for your house and you're upside down if you were to sell it. But if you're going to live in it, you're probably getting a sweet monthly payment compared to what it would have been at 7% interest rate. So I wouldn't be too worried unless you have to sell, in which case, if you have a VA or an FHA loan, I would highly recommend doing a assumable loan. But that's off topic. I just wanted to throw that in there, and that's just because of the lock-in effect. Now, if you didn't watch the last video, it's going to be linked below, but the lock-in effect is still in effect. And if you don't feel like watching that video, then I'll just share that it refers to the reluctance of homeowners to sell due to this huge rise in mortgage rates since the pandemic. And in early 2021, the average 30-year mortgage rate was under 3%. But late 2024, it settled to around 7%, and most homeowners secured mortgages below that 4%, making them unwilling to move and unwilling to give up their low rates, according to Investopedia. As of the first quarter of 2024, about a little bit more than 34% of homes in the United States were mortgage-free, which is a record high. People that own a house don't have a mortgage. Of course, they're not going to give it up unless they have to. Now, I just did help a buyer with an FHA loan in the high 6%. He got a really sweet deal on this home, and I'll tell you why. Now is the worst time to buy a house, right? At least that's what everyone is saying, but I'll show you with the data because I know you love to see the numbers. And if there's anything that these last several years have taught us, is that the path to home ownership has gotten a lot harder. The road is a lot longer. It's a lot more treacherous. There's a lot more to look out for, but it does feel further out of reach than it ever has. And your buying power is just not there. You're reluctant to pay several thousands of dollars for a house per month that you barely like. The margins on the investment aspect of it are shrinking. And some of you may have to consider even breaking even or paying more just to hold on to the asset. But that's perfectly normal for this time, and many are experiencing these same feelings. Real estate is just more of a long-term play now, and we're all just adjusting to the changes. And it's okay if all of this is making you feel like you don't want to buy a house anymore. I actually had a conversation with a friend recently, and he was telling me that he was thinking about buying a house. And as we were having the conversation, he's single, he doesn't have any kids, he, doesn't have a wife that is bugging him to get a new house or get a bigger house or whatever. So he's perfectly content where he is in his townhome renting. And, I said, if it were my brother and he was single and he had, the extra $1,000 per month, would I put it into real estate? Honestly, I would probably tell him to invest it instead, just because the ROI is just not there. The ROI is looking real nice over at the S&P 500. Could you imagine, instead of doing the $1,000 in rent, that you could just put that $1,000 towards investing? And which is also volatile. I'm not a financial advisor, and I'm definitely not suggesting anything. I'm selling real estate. I'm just thinking to myself, like, if it were my younger brother, this is what I would probably tell him to do. Unless, you're planning on building equity, you want to have a house, you really want to put the work into it, you want to have your own style in the house, you don't want to ask permission, you don't want a landlord, all those things, everyone is so different. So it really just depends on the person. But from an investment perspective in 2025, you have to have more of a reason besides just investing and looking to make money off of real estate. There has to be more compelling reasons than just equity. But for those of you who are still wanting to buy a house, let's break down our most recent strategy with my last buyer. Now, Matthew was interested in buying his first home, and everything that we were looking at needed work. Some homes needed serious work, like cracked foundations and that crazy stuff. And we finally stumbled upon a cute little house that was recently remodeled. It was a 4-bedroom home in the area that he wanted to be in. It was smaller than he wanted, but it checked 80% of the boxes. 2-car garage, huge yard for the 2 dogs and the kids. They would all have their own room and a much larger space for the family. Everyone can have their own space, which is huge. And we went in with our offer, and my buyer got so much, including a new roof, $15,000 off the purchase price, $10,000 towards closing costs and prepaids, a 1-year home warranty, a new radon system, new appliances. Well, they were newer, not brand new, but they looked new. Even the washer and dryer. And then, of course, a steak dinner on me and my lender. But if he had to compete for this listing and buy when everyone else is buying, let's say like a rate drops about 1%, and he was having to compete with all these other buyers, he wouldn't have gotten all this stuff. He would have likely had to pay more, not gotten anything fixed or what he wanted at all. And he only paid $1,000 to get into this house. His monthly mortgage with taxes, insurance, and everything included was $2,700 a month, which is higher than the average rent here, but it's his own and it appraised higher than what he paid for. And if the value continues to go up another 3 to 4% each year, like it's predicted to, or $15,000 equivalent in value, that's just an added benefit. With just the concessions and what the seller was willing to give back to him at closing, it would take 235 months to spread those incentives out over the interest he's paying. So say like he was waiting for a 5.65 interest rate versus 6.65. And I'm not a lender, so these numbers I just made up based on national averages on today's date, which is end of January, mid-January. But so that would have been a difference of about $200 a month in his interest payment. And when I broke it down, it would take him 19 years to basically spend that, around $200 extra that he's paying for the higher interest rates. Because the amount of money that he spent on the roof and all these other things, by then, hopefully he could refinance and dump the equity back into the home. And this is the exact strategy that I did when I bought my house. And I know some of you are thinking, well, a crash is going to ruin everything. If the housing market crashes tomorrow and homes lose 30% of the value, then all of that was for naught. And yes, buying real estate is always a risk, just like driving to work is a risk. Everything that we do in life is risky. But here's why I don't think that a crash is going to come anytime soon. According to Keeping Current Matters, the home price forecast for 2025 is predicting an average of 2.9% increase in the price of homes. Furthermore, Colorado Springs housing market here is projected to be among the hottest in 2025, and experts estimate that the median home price could climb to $681,000 within the next 5 years, and in 10 years it might even hit the $1 million mark. Realtor.com highlighted 10 affordable U.S. cities right now that could see median home prices soar past the $1 million mark within the next decade. And most of these cities are in the West and Midwest, located near pricier metro areas, driving demand and setting the stage for significant price growth over the next 10 years. People are going to flee these top markets to find something more affordable. They're going to leave Denver. People are going to get sick of living in Denver, and they're going to move to Colorado Springs just for a little bit more space and less crowded, although I don't know how long the less crowded part's going to last. But we're set to outpace Denver when it comes to our population. And if this is the case, you will not regret your home purchase unless something crazy outside of regular old real estate happens. And in the 2024-2025 rankings by U.S. News and World Report, Colorado Springs was named the 3rd best place to live in the United States, following Naples, Florida, and Boise. And the city earned high marks for a strong job market and relatively affordable housing costs. I know a lot of you in the comments will say that we are not affordable. When you look at it at a national level, our prices are more affordable for the size of city that we have. And I know that's not what you want to hear, because we all miss the days when things were way more affordable and the average person could buy a home. But not to mention all of the natural beauty that Colorado Springs has, the urban amenities and attractions like Garden of the Gods, and a vibrant downtown area. This is also the 7th consecutive year that Colorado Springs has ranked within the top 10 best places to live, showcasing the obvious and consistent appeal to residents and transplants. Colorado Springs was recently dubbed by Redfin as the #1 city to live in Colorado Springs, and all the signs are there. But also, I'm really curious to know, do you think that home ownership is still a goal and a dream for people, or do you think that most people have just given up on that idea? You just have to be smart about the strategy, and that's where I come in. I help you make the right purchase in the right area for the best price. And I work with a team. I have a real estate attorney. You don't have to pay any more for that. It's just extra protection that I like to have for my clients. So if you want to book a free consultation, you can do that below. But listen, my job is not to convince you to buy a house. My job is to help those who want to buy one. And I have a pretty good strategy of helping you make it worth your time at the end of the day. We want people to feel good about their home purchases so that they can build that equity long term and have something to pass on to their kids or leverage to get a bigger house later down the line. But you have to do it the right way, and you have to work with someone who knows what they're doing. Okay, so now that you know more about the housing market, you're going to need to know the major developments coming to the area and how that's going to affect you going forward. So make sure to watch the video that's popping up next on the screen. Please subscribe. I would love it. And I'll see you on the next one.